I'm just holding this chicken.
Powered by Riverside.
On that note, welcome to the show tonight. We're going to talk about The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. A movie that is surprisingly timely given our current state of events. It's weird.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, this didn't feel all that different from today.
No, it really didn't. I had not seen this movie in quite a number of years, and I was watching it, and I was surprised. I was like, wow, this is aged remarkably well. Like,
yeah, I was like, this
very, very
this could have just
nose.
been a current black and white movie for all I knew. But yeah, it was nice to actually watch it all the way through in one sitting. I'd never actually done it before. It was one of those movies I just sort of was aware of, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but never actually like sat down and watched it all the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had seen more clips of it than I'd actually. I think this is only like the second time I've actually like watched it.
Yeah,
and I've actually, I think, seen the remake more than I've seen this one.
And I've really never watched that one. I've never sat and watched that one all the way through. I've seen parts of it, but I never watched it all at once, you know? So,
well,
I don't know why.
That is tonight's topic. Day the Earth Stood Still, coming to us on September 20th, 1951. But the movie is set in July, so another July feature for us here in the month of July. Summertime, as the kids say.
We're set in July.
Do we have a exactly? Do we have a sign of the apocalypse this week?
The list doesn't exist, apparently.
The list does not exist. Go? There are
what happened to that thing?
It was interesting to see. It's interesting to see that about face, like all these Democrats that are going to be on this fucking pedophile list, and then it's like, oh, there is no list. Fair enough.
There's no list.
Fair enough.
Don't look. Oh God.
Yeah. And then we have of course, the horrible floodings that's happening in Texas that killed like, over 100 people. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And then the people that are this is a once in a lifetime thing. No, it's not. That area has flooded several times. It flooded in the 80s. It flooded again in the 90s. It flooded in the 2000s. It floods a lot.
I was living down in that area when it flooded real bad, and I remember, oh man, me and my sister were down hanging out because there was a river like right close to our house. There was like a park and everything, and we just walked there all the time. And me and my sister were just down at the park area, and my dad came running up, and he was mad. And I get it now, you know, because there could have just been a wall of water out of nowhere, and we would not have had time, you know. So
yeah, no. People forget the flash and flash flood is significant.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
and over here in this part of Texas, it was nowhere near significant, but it was still raining a lot. Like it was raining every day, and we live in the desert, you know. I forgot where we were.
That's what my parents were telling me. My mom and dad, I spoke to them. My dad was like, "It's rained every day this week," and I was like, "That's crazy. Like that area never gets that much rain, ever. Yeah, it's not built for it. There's the streets don't have ways of letting water out of the. Like it's an area that's not built to really maintain rain.
Oh yeah,
like
there's parts of this town.
Sounds crazy.
It'll flood after like 5 minutes of rain. So like this much rain.
Oh yeah, I remember. Rough. I distinctly remember driving in Odessa and Midland. I was about to say Dixie, Grandview. Like it's just giant chunks of Midland Drive. They're all completely underwater.
Another one. This is for the locals.
Lots of signs of the apocalypse this week. Whether it's trying to keep your head above water or trying to keep your name off of a list and using whatever means you can. Or pushing forth your agenda with the big beautiful bill, which apparently is going to help us push us closer to the end times. We're told. We'll see how that works out. Who knows? We will let that play itself out. Let's talk about the movie tonight. Something a little different. Something a little bit more. Probably a little bit more honestly happy. This movie, Day the Earth Stood Still. Yeah. Coming to us by director Robert Wise, who has an interesting career in Hollywood, as well as a pretty interesting background. kind of started his way from like nothing. So he went to college to be a journalist and only did 1 year and then dropped out. And his journalism degree his journalism credits didn't really get him much. His brother was working for RKO Pictures at the time, and he got him a job in the mailroom. So his job was basically delivering film reels to and from people. And somehow he did that well enough that he actually made friends with another young RKO guy on the rise, Orson Wells. And so, when Orson Welles became big in Hollywood, he took Robert Wise along with him, and he was his editor for many of Orson Welles' early movies, including Citizen Kane, Magnificent Ambersons, Touch of Evil, so on and so forth. And Robert Wise was involved in most of those pictures, as well as being a director, of some more genre pictures unto himself. So he did Body Snatcher, which is a classic little horror movie there, as well as The First Haunting. Beyond that, he also did some movies that maybe you wouldn't expect of him, including Two Flags West, which is like a really classic Western that he did right before this one, as well as Sound of Music. He also directed that.
That's why I know the name.
And then moving into the late 60s, early 70s, he would add 2 more sci-fi movies onto his resume with Andromeda Strain and also directing the first Star Trek.
Okay, yeah, this is all making way more sense now, because I was like, I know this name.
Yeah. So Robert Wise, pretty cool dude, did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He is directing a script written by Edmund North, who started writing movies back in 1934, so that tells you how long back he goes. He also has some pretty famous credits to his name, including films such as The Proud Ones, and, of course, the movie that won him a lot of awards, Patton, the history of the General Patton there. He also would get some more sci-fi credits, including writing the movies Meteor and Race to Oblivion, which were some more 50s sci-fi movies that came out like within 3 or 4 years of this one. So this movie kind of set forth the atomic age of filmmaking, where you had a lot of these like movies. This wasn't the first one. A lot of people mistakenly say like this is the first sci-fi movie. It's not at all. There were other ones before this. This is just maybe the first one that was like super, super popular and crossed over into a larger audience. And Edmund North did such a good job at writing that all of the remakes of this movie, of which there's really one remake, and that one we'll watch next week, spoiler alert. But the other Asylum remake, or mockbuster, The Day the Earth Stopped, which is its name. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
A very different connotation on that one.
And we are not watching that. We will continue our streak of not watching Asylum until one day we'll just delve into that territory.
Oh,
Lord.
But
that movie actually borrows so heavily from his script as well that they also have to credit him as a writer on it. So both of the remakes of this movie ended up having to credit him because of just how similar the movies are.
Oh, yeah.
And he is adapting a story based on Harry Bates, who would write the sci-fi story called Farewell to the Master in the 1940s. And this was one of many, 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 many stories that they actually were looking for. When they decided, the producers hired the producers hired Edmund here to write them a script. Him, as well as several people on his writing team, they went and looked at and read about 100 different sci-fi stories until they were able to find one that they thought they could adapt into a movie that would be good.
That's wild. So could you imagine that being like part of your? Yeah, could you imagine that being part of your job? Is just like, well, I've got to read like a bunch of books this week, like
yeah. And this is like 40s and early 50s sci-fi, so this is some of like the peak sci-fi shit that's coming out. So there's a lot of short stories that they read and even full-length stories that they read, trying to find things that they could adapt before they eventually found this one. And they would change quite a bit. There's some significant differences in the story, but for the most part, it kind of follows the general idea of the movie, but with some minor changes. Okay, so our cast, that's our writer and director. Our cast here is Michael Rene, who is playing Klaatu,
Yes.
which is the main character there, and he shows up in a bunch of movies, including The Lost World, Devil's Brigade, and I Spy. He also plays Sandman in the '66 Batman TV show.
Oh,
Which is a common occurrence amongst this cast. Every single person in this cast would show up in the Andy Griffith Show at different times.
awesome.
And almost all of them also show up in Batman 66 at different times.
Well, because Batman 66 had a lot of classic actors in there. Like,
It did.
Like,
People
some
forget
good
how fucking
shit.
popular that show was. It was very popular.
it was so good. And I
Like,
get
even
it.
as a kid,
Because
I remember, like, my grandparents, they still watched it
Mhm.
when I was a kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were onto something.
Yeah,
Like-
they loved it.
Yeah.
Our next in line here, Helen Benson, portrayed here by Patricia Neal, who was our Oscar winner. She won the Oscar for The Subject Was Roses. She also was in a bunch of other movies, including Breakfast at Tiffany's, All Quiet on the Western Front, HUD, Ghost Story, and as well as a movie that I think is based off of You, The Night Digger.
Oh god, and I keep saying now that my beard's getting long enough, like it's pretty long now, I gotta get me a set of overalls, like
yeah.
so I can go out and do some night digging.
That's true. That's true. She would continue acting until 2009, actually. So that was kind of weird. Not kind of weird, kind of
wow.
crazy that she had a very, very long career.
Far out.
Her like romantic partner in this movie is Tom, who is played by Hugh Marlowe, and he would be in several Alfred Hitchcock movies, as well as several Alfred Hitchcock Presents of the TV shows back in the day. He
Yep.
would also be in All About Eve, as well as several Perry Masons, and well as a bunch of other sci-fi movies that would come out shortly after this one, including World Without End and The Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
So,
You can see lots of these actors would go on to do more sci-fi stuff shortly after this, continuing in
I'm
that trend.
realizing now I have not watched enough 50s sci-fi movies. I really got to get on
There's
that.
a lot. There's a lot of them. There is a lot of them.
Yeah.
The professor is played by Sam Jaffe, who was actually in this movie by the request of the director. Sam Jaffe was an actor who had a pretty prolific career up until getting blacklisted for his political beliefs. He was a liberal, identified as a communist by the McCarthy era. And so at this point, he was blacklisted from Hollywood. And they actually had to go out of their way to vouch for him to be in this movie. So
Wow.
this would be one of his last credits in Hollywood before he took a significant late leave of absence before coming back.
Yeah. Fair.
And he would come back to a movie that I grew up watching as a kid, Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. But before that, he would also be in Ben-Hur, and ended his career doing things like Battle Beyond the Stars, which is, I think, the third or fourth time we've talked about that movie.
Yep.
And our little boy here, Bobby. God damn it, Bobby. Played by Billy Gray, who was in several things. Actually took a long break from acting for a long time. He's the only person in this cast that's still living. I think he might actually be dead now. I'm not sure. But as of 2024, he was still alive.
Oh, okay.
He has been in such things as Werewolves on Wheels, which is an interesting title of a show.
Yes.
Gotta watch that one, don't know anything about it.
Yep.
He was also in 200 episodes of Father Knows Best, where he played Bud Anderson.
Oh, okay.
That's his biggest credit outside of this movie is Father Knows Best. And Gort, our 7-foot-tall robot, is played by an actor who was indeed 7 foot tall, Locke Martin. He was actually he worked as like a front door man. He was like 7'6", and he was working front door at like a hotel, and someone took note of him, and that's how he got interested into acting. He actually would not be in too many movies before dying. He would die shortly after this movie, actually. Had a lot of health problems, as a lot of people of that size sometimes have.
I believe.
Yeah. But he would be in some sci-fi classics from the 50s if you're looking for a watch list. Here's just start with Locke Martin here. Invaders from Mars, The Snow Creature, where he plays the Yeti, and The Incredible Shrinking Man as well. So there you go.
Oh,
There you go. There you go. Some good times there. So there's our
yeah.
cast. Let's get into a little bit of the background, and then we'll talk about the music here in a minute, because the music has some interesting notes about the music. Budget was 1.2 million, would be about 12 to 13 million dollars today. So there you go.
Okay.
Now, the movie did not make as much as you might think, considering its legacy, where it's like this big, famous sci-fi movie that has kind of gone down in history as being very important. But at the time, it actually only made $1.85 million. So it did make money, but just not as much as you might think it did. It wasn't quite the hit that they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I guess because like sci-fi movies were very, I don't know, they were just kind of like B movies and stuff back then, right? Like this would have been considered a B movie or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sort of, yeah. So they went into it with the B movie mantra in mind, but the director was kind of a, obviously working with Orson Welles and having that kind of a background, coming into it with a little bit of a different idea. And we'll just go ahead and get into the background. So he wanted it to be as realistic as possible. That was his whole idea with this movie. He wanted this to be the most realistic sci-fi movie he could think of, and he also wanted it to be earthbound. So the way I'm thinking of the reasoning, obviously we can't ask him, everyone's dead, but I'm thinking of the logic here of like, we're just coming out of World War II, the atomic bombs, they're going to get mentioned in this movie, because they do get mentioned here.
Oh yeah.
And we're trying to think
rockets
of,
and
rockets
like
and things like that, yeah. So we're trying to think of like how we can get people into this idea of aliens coming from another planet. I feel like, honestly, if you took them to the other planet, a la Lost in Space, I think you would lose them and they would see it less realistically. And this one, having it set in a familiar area like Washington, D.C., where you can see like all of the things and everything that's very familiar to humans, I feel like that kind of definitely wanted some points. And especially for the time, if you go and watch some 50 sci-fi movies, not all of them follow this formula, but a lot of them do stick to like things on Earth, the familiar, as opposed to like immediately sending you into the other world. Some immediately send you elsewhere, and they just kind of get into like, here's some robots, but
like Forbidden Planet or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. The producers wanted to make a social film. They went into it with that in mind. They, like I said, that they went into looking for scripts that they could adapt into a social commentary about the atomic age, as they were very worried about what could happen with these bombs, right? This is the first war that has ended with these bombs. And people are going to put in the comments, or they're probably not, but some asshole might listen to this one day and post in the comments that the atomic bombs didn't actually end World War II. It was Russia about to invade Japan, blah, 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 whatever. You can't, I think, minimize the fact that we dropped a bomb of unspecified proportions up to that point in human history onto a populace that was at war with us, but not the military. We dropped it on fucking civilians. And, I don't think that can be overlooked when it comes to having some kind of a significant impact in the ending of the goddamn war.
Yeah, for real.
Some people like to get all history specific. So, anyway, back on point. So they were trying to make a political point about that, and about how they were very terrified about the future, right? What kind of future are we building to if this is what we're able to do to people, I always really liked this saying I heard in college from one of my professors. I don't remember which one, and he might have been quoting or summarizing someone else, so it might be one of those things that I'm attributing to the wrong person. But it was always a saying that they used in my history classes that I thought it really resonated to American history, and it was basically like, when we dropped the atomic bomb, we made Hitler look like an amateur because we accomplished so much murder in practically seconds, whereas it took him, building a system and a network and a process to eliminate an entire group of people. We sped that shit the fuck up in just a couple years and turned it into a goddamn science, so to speak.
Oh, God. Yeah.
There you go. So that's kind of the mentality that they're coming into this movie with. And A lot of people also would argue that sci-fi movies can just be turn your brain off and enjoy them and have fun, and they are some of those, definitely.
Some of them.
Like Fifth Element, I would say, is kind of like a just turn your brain off and have fun kind of a movie, right? Just enjoy the sci-fi ride. But a lot of sci-fi movies, going back to the origins of the books and whatnot, they're trying to make very like specific political points, social points. So I don't think it's I don't think it's crazy to see that here, and I think that you definitely do as you watch the movie. Yeah. So a little. No. So a little bit more here at the time. The relationship between the two actors, the two leads, was going to be more developed, and they were going to have more of like an actual on-screen romance. But all of that stuff was edited out, and once again, not sure why, but it may have had something to do with the MPAA and them feeling a little bit uncomfortable about some of the aspects of the movie, such as the fact that they made them change the ending of the movie. So when the big robot, Bleep Blorp, takes old Klaatu back to the ship to resurrect him at the end of it, you'll notice that he says something along the lines of like, "This is only a temporary resurrection. This is a power reserved only for the Almighty." Why would an alien know about God? Like, okay.
Yeah.
The aliens know about the Christian God. So that was an MPAA line that they threw in there, ad-libbed after the movie was finished, and by forcing them to, in order to not offend any Christians that might watch the movie and take offense to the resurrection scene being too Christ-like.
I mean, I get it, but also like, jeez, you crazy.
Honestly, like the entire movie is an allegory for Christ. I mean, he shows back up to a population to tell them that they could have salvation if they change their ways, and for this they kill him.
Yep.
Like, it's the Bible. It's like, it's the Bible. That's what this is. It's the Bible. Just do a completely different movie there. Oh Lord. So they wanted to do it very documentary style, and so they accomplished that by having real news anchors at the time record videos that they filmed on set of them reporting the news like they would in their actual news anchor studios. So that gave it a layer of authenticity. So if you were watching this at the time in the 1950s and you're going to the movie theater, you're seeing the news anchors that you're seeing on the radio or on whatever TV you have access to. You're seeing them on the screen as well. So that kind of added a little layer, bit of authenticity to it.
Yes,
some more. I thought that was interesting. Some more little tampering that the studio did here is they really wanted the lead to be someone else. So Michael Renee had signed a contract with the studio at the time, and he was promised 3 leading roles. This would be the only one he ever got of those 3 that he was promised. But yeah, they didn't want him in this movie. They actually wanted Spencer Tracy. But the director was like, the moment the spaceship opens and it's fucking Spencer Tracy, it's gonna take people out of the movie because they're gonna immediately recognize that's Spencer fucking Tracy. Whereas Michael Renee had mostly at this point done British movies, which is where he's from. He's from England. Most people probably would not know who he was in the 1950s in America, other than like the real obscure hardcore cinephiles at the time, which there were probably only like very, very few of, if any. Really. And so most people weren't going to notice that he was some famous actor. And so, that kind of allowed them to do that.
To look alien, Like, you want him to be alien to the people watching.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So while watching the movie, you might notice that the crowd sometimes was like sped up randomly.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice that this, like, whenever the crowd reacts, they're like their reactions are sped up? Yeah, that was not intentional. That was done out of editing because while they were filming, the extras at the set they just couldn't react properly. He was trying to get them to react with panic and in fear of this thing, and they just would kind of begrudgingly move a little bit and not really do anything too quickly. So they ended up having to speed the film up to get them to have the reaction they were looking for.
That's wild.
I thought that was pretty funny, too.
Could you imagine going to be an extra in a movie and just being like, I'm going to half-ass this? Like, what are you even there for? Like, what?
Say right? So this is not the only time this movie would come out. It would also show up in two other big forms. In 1954, 3 years later, it was a radio play, and they actually got most of the cast to show back up and do the radio play. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And cool. In 1962, March 3rd, 1962 precisely, it became one of the very, very first TV movies. TV stations had bought the rights to the film and were showing a movie that had previously only been in film on the TV screen for a wide-scale audience. That happened in 1962. This was one of the first times that happened. I think this was the third one, the third or fourth showing of that series. So yeah, this was the third or fourth time a movie ever showed on TV in entirety. You could sit down at your house and watch a movie from start to finish at your home, which was kind of a revolutionary thing at the time.
Yeah, I didn't even, you take it for granted nowadays, or in our entire lifetime, that, just here's the movie. They even have, well, that makes sense why there's, the, like, Joe Bob Briggs and things like that, where, Elvira or whatever, you have these setups for these movies because, it would have been a novel thing back in the day. So...
Oh, yeah.
A throwback to that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's get into the last thing that we'll talk about before we get into our little break, and then we'll get into the plot of the movie, which is the soundtrack and the overall film score. So this film was scored by Bernard Herrmann, who is the definition of prolific. He would get his start with, once again, Orson Welles, doing the music for Citizen Kane, The Magnificent Ambersons, as well as things like The Devil and Daniel Webster, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. The Day the Earth Stood Still would obviously be one of his big ones. And in this movie, he would start doing kind of like almost the birth of electronica, because he would use a bunch of odd instruments that you would not think of. So he used electric violins, electric violas, a lot of weird electric wood instruments, as well as theremins. So he would use all kinds of weird ways of making sounds. And this became so important and influential that it made Danny Elfman want to get into making movies music, as well as this soundtrack, as well as several other soundtracks he did, would go on to be referenced in countless other movies. So not only has he done the music for everything from like Psycho to Taxi Driver to Vertigo to Wrong Man, The Egyptian, Garden of Evil, so on and so forth. But he also gets referenced in things such as Reanimator, It's Alive 3, Psycho 4, like all these like B movies in the 80s and 2000s and 90s that would reference his 50s scores and soundtracks that he did, because he made all these like very memorable sounds that you just did not hear really beforehand.
So, that's so cool.
Another thing that this movie became very well known for was its soundtrack.
Well, yeah, because I know the 80s really revered a lot of like the old, like the 50s, especially 50s.
All right.
Like sci-fi movies and stuff. Me still? Like, there's so many movies I watch where they're watching old movies like that. So yeah, I get it.
Let's get into the Travis trivia before we take a little bit of a pause. And
this will be easy.
Well, yeah. So the billboards from 1951 are not exactly the most detailed. However, they did have songs that were popular at the time, and they compiled that list, I guess, through radio plays as well as through performances and different other metrics. But I don't expect you to probably guess any of these because, surprisingly, I am familiar with most of these artists of the top 5 of the year. So I just went and looked at who was the top 5 artists of 1951.
Oh,
and here we go. Number 1 was, or number 5, I should say, was the only one of these that I really wasn't all that familiar with, and that is Patti Page with the Tennessee Waltz.
I might know that song, but
I might know it if I heard it, but off the top of my head, the name didn't do anything for me. Number 4 did, though. Number 4 was If by Perry Como.
Oh,
I
know that name.
Number 3 was How High the Moon by Les Paul.
Nothing on that one.
Well, I know Les Paul only from the guitars that he is responsible for popularizing, but I'm not as familiar with his music. Yep, that's the same guy. Same guy.
I was doubting myself. I was like, it can't be. But okay, it can be.
Number 2 for the year was Too Young by Nat King Cole.
Easy. Well, actually, maybe that's good because he is saying too young. All right, that's way to go. I give credit. I haven't heard it yet,
number one, and the number 1 song of 1951, as well as the number 1 song when this movie came out in September of 1951, was "Because of You" by Tony Bennett.
Hey, okay.
Yeah,
I know that one.
Yeah, it's some good classic, easy listening Tony Bennett there. So that is where we are going to pause, and we will come back and talk to you guys about the plot of The Day the Earth Stood Still in just a second. See ya. The ad, where we have no advertisements, but we do take a moment to think about what we're going to talk about next week. And it's been a while since we watched a movie and then immediately followed it up with watching a remake of that movie. Last time we did that was when we did Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, and then we immediately watched Omega Man with Charlton Heston. So, keeping in that spirit, I think next week we should watch the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves from 2008.
Awesome.
Have you ever seen this movie?
I've seen clips. All right. Well, not so much clips. I've tried to watch it, but I've never caught it. It's always just been on TV. So I never went and found it.
I saw it in theaters. At the time, I remember leaving feeling like somehow the giant animatronic robotic alien did a better performance than Keanu Reeves did. So we'll see if my opinion of it has changed in the last 20 years or so, or if it's still a movie that I think is maybe Keanu Reeves' worst movie I've ever made. So tune in next week for that one. See ya. Welcome back, y'all. Let's talk about the plot of The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. So the movie immediately starts, and then one of the first things you hear someone say is, "Holy mackerel!" And they are not talking about a Pope fish. Instead, they are talking about a spaceship. Very, very, I get that confused too.
Yep.
So this is where we start to see some of the documentary part of the movie, where we get news around the world reacting to this alien craft that is beginning to land in here in D.C. And he gets out and he says, "We come in peace." And like most foreigners and how they're greeted in America in 2025, he gets shot. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. Nope. The more things change.
Yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. He's a foreigner. Scary. Kill him. Anyway, big guy comes out, Bleep Blorp, as I'm going to call him. That's not his name. His name is Gort, but I think it's funny calling him Bleep Blorp just because I love Mr. Show. You're one of the good ones, Bleep Blorp.
Bleep Blorp, you're one of the good ones.
The universe's last racist. That's still the best sketch I've ever seen.
God, it's such a good sketch.
Funny.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. So the big guy comes out and he immediately takes down all their guns with his little laser beams as they take the alien to the hospital. And they remark about how he's immediately almost able to heal. He just got shot, but he doesn't look like his body's already healing very naturally. And he wants to talk to basically not only the president, but he wants to talk to all of the leaders of the world. And,
what he has to say, it can't be trusted to just one man.
Affects everybody.
It's too big. It's too much.
It's too big. It's too much, yeah. And of course, they deny him this, and they try to lock him up. And this, of course, doesn't work because immediately after locking the door, he kind of smiles, and then seconds later, he's out of the building. So, while all of that is happening, the military is fucking with the ship, trying their best to try to figure out what's going on with it, as well as the robot, because the robot is not moving whenever he is not around. It just stands perfectly still. So we get to more world news documentary style reactions to his escape, because now it has been made news that the alien has escaped the hospital, and everyone should be on the lookout for him.
Yeah, I didn't realize it till we're talking about it now. Like, this movie does get into a lot of news. Like, I like
a lot
that.
of like news reaction stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
which gives it kind of
cool.
like a nice pacing, because like, things happen and then we get a reaction to them. So he's walking around DC and he looks just like a human. So that's kind of the thing, is he looks just like a regular guy, but some of his behavior is a little different. And the actor doing this part would try his best to do that with the way that he walked. And all things like that. Yeah. So some subtle hints there. Keanu Reeves in the second one would also do a lot of that as well. Maybe to the detriment of the movie. But
well, yeah.
We'll get there when we get there. The other thing about this movie is when you see him walking around DC, you can see exactly like how 50s we are. Like every man, whether it's a child or a grown man or whoever, full business suits. Everyone's in suits and jackets. Everyone's in slacks. The girls are all in dresses. Everyone is very prim and proper. It is still very much like that conservative 50s that came out after World War II.
Oh yeah,
and you see that on screen with the way everyone's dressed here.
Not a lot of working class folk. Not
so
on
he finds himself a little kind of like a little hostel, like a little hotel that he can go stay in with a group of people, and this little family is going to become like the main group of people for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like, oh god, is this really what I'm gonna compare this to Popeye the movie? Where he goes in and meets with the family, and there's all the people living there. It's a little share house situation. That's a great way to introduce a person to new people, in a movie. It works out.
One of the main people he meets is Bobby, who is the small little kid who is, he's going to become a very important character in this movie, as he basically introduces the alien, Klaatu, to everyone else. And I can't hear Bobby without immediately asking him if he likes to see grown men wrestle.
Oh, God, that's right. I forgot.
Do you like to see grown men wrestle, Bobby? So he's going to take him to see the smartest man on Earth, who Bobby just happens to know, who is Professor Barnhart. Yay! They go around the ship. This is where they just go around town. And this is where you see a lot of what we were talking about with like the earthbound nature of this movie, where it is a sci-fi movie, but it looks almost like, if you don't know he's an alien and you watch large portions of this, it's just kind of like almost like a slow building comedy, or like a little bit of a drama between this kid and this guy as they walk around DC, and he just kind of shows off things to him.
Paper Moon was way different than I remember.
So we get to the ship, and they're looking upon it with him and the kid, and they get interviewed. And this is when he starts to kind of give little hints that something's different about him. Like, he doesn't understand certain cultural things, but he does know certain like very complicated things about certain other aspects about science.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's kind of little hints that he keeps telling Bobby, like, oh, I've been traveling and I've been gone for a very long time, I don't know where things are, and things like, I don't know what money is. I just have diamonds.
Just these normal, everyday diamonds.
Normal, everyday diamonds, yes. Eventually, after doing a bunch of nonsense, we get to the professor, where we see him solve the math equation that's on the board before they get shooed away by the housekeeper. And, a lot of the beginning
alerts.
Yes, she alerts them, and he leaves them a note telling Professor Barnhart, like, hey, I need to talk to you. You're apparently the smartest man on Earth, so hook me up, bitch. Here's my number. Here's my address. Come find me. And so he kind of reveals, once the Barnhart and him actually finally meet up, this is where he finally reveals, like, what his purpose here is. He tells basically, like, the professor, look, y'all have just discovered the nuclear bomb. You just used it to blow up Japan. it has other uses, don't you know? And
Yeah.
as he tells Bobby earlier, like, oh, you can use nuclear energy for all kinds of things. Well, atomic.
Yeah.
They're calling it atomic at
Yeah,
this
they
point.
keep calling it atomic power. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't ever use nuclear. It's just atomic. But and so he tells the professor, like, so because of y'all doing this, y'all have like leveled up in the global pecking order, and now you're on the radar of all of us. And what we're seeing, we're not liking. We're
Yeah.
seeing
No.
y'all using these kinds of powers to destroy each other, rather than to create a utopian society that we have made where we are. And rather than telling him, hey, we'll take you to where we are, he tells him, gather the group of people that is the smartest men on Earth, and y'all need to sort this shit out, or we're gonna fucking kill you.
Yep.
And not just you, the entire Earth. We will blow it all up.
Yeah. It'll. What did he call it? Like a cinders or something like that. Like just a ball of cinder or something like that.
A ball of cinders. Yeah. Basically, in a nutshell, Earth has fucked around, and now we have found out. And
well,
the finding out part is not going to go so well.
So when you were saying that he didn't really say like taking them to where, to learn all that, they shot the thing, or whenever they shot him, that broke the thing that was supposed to be like, what did he say about it? Like, this was a gift for your president.
It was a gift to your leaders. Yeah. It was going to
they'd be able to like, view the world, like view the different planets, or like, seek out,
interact with different,
like
communicate with different galaxies and things like that. Yeah.
Like it would have been, huge advancements on this planet because, and, but of course we shot ourself in the foot, well, in his shoulder. Anyway, I tried to make that work. It didn't.
It's insane. I was going down a dark, dark hill. Anyway, so the professor is given this task by Klaatu here to assemble a group of the finest minds on Earth. And then we get some scenes of him and the kid kind of bonding again. And also him, and this is also where you're, like we talked about at the beginning, during the background, this is where all the scenes where him and the girl were supposed to kind of develop their relationship. And instead all of that was cut, so you don't really see most of that.
I can see... I could definitely see an argument why that was a good idea to remove that.
Yeah, I get it. So the kid is telling his mom, basically like, I really like this guy. He's a cool dude. And she's like, hey, but he needs some time alone, so maybe give him some space. And the space he needs to give him is so that he can go and investigate the spaceship on his own. And of course, the
outer space.
Outer space, yeah, there you go. And of course, the kid follows him, and the kid finds out about Bleep Blop's secret, and blah blah blah. So the kid goes back, and he's telling mom and her boyfriend and about what happened. And of course, they don't believe him. But as they go into the room to check on little Klaatu there, they see that he's not there. And then they find the diamonds, and this is kind of gets them a little suspicious about exactly. And Bobby's shoes are covered in mud and dirt.
Oh,
from him following him.
Yeah, he kind of dropped the argument pretty fast about.
Yeah.
He was like, "Well, do you think he's a diamond heist, or a diamond thief?" It's like, wait, well, you just saw what he is, like, and now you're entertaining this. I mean, good on you, kid, for just going along with it. But man,
yeah, right,
it just dropped it.
Yeah. So the alien, though, he understands that Bobby saw him, and so he goes to her work the next day. And basically tries to confront her and tell her, like, look, here's what's going on. And as he does this, this is where we get the titular, the Earth stood still, because all of the electricity on Earth stops for about 30 minutes as he uses this time to tell her what's going on in the elevator.
Yeah, because he wanted to really press upon these greatest minds, like, this is serious. But he didn't, he could have made it destructive. I think his idea was to be destructive or something. But the professor was like, no, though, like, no destruction if we could. So he's like, oh, I got the idea. And it was a good idea. That'll
so while the power is out, the president declares a state of emergency across the entire nation. And they start setting up a nationwide manhunt because DC is on lockdown. And they know that, like, or they at least they pretty strongly presume this alien has something to do with it. And Benson, the girl, now she knows everything. She's been told everything that's going on. Same thing that the professor was told, so she understands the gravity of the situation. And this is when the only other person that knows about this is Tom, the guy that she's kind of been seeing on and off here.
Right.
And Tom is going to become our little dick character here. Someone's got to be the bad guy.
Boy, but he really, like...
Oh, yeah.
It didn't take much. Well, I'm going to say it didn't take much of a push. This is a pretty big push.
Yeah. So Tom calls the people and lets them know as the nationwide manhunt. He's like, "Hey, I know where he's at. He's been staying at this house here, and So this kind of causes a lot of problems as we get into really the end of the movie. Honestly, this movie kind of moves pretty quickly.
It does move really quick. It's one of those things like it felt way shorter than it is, you know. But I mean, it's a fast. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's a lot to there's a lot to the story, but it's not a big story to tell, I guess.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty simple. I mean, an alien shows up, he gives us a warning, and leaves.
Yeah, basically, it's pretty simple.
So we get these old driving scenes. I loved the old driving scenes where they're like driving against a very clear like backdrop being like displayed behind them as they're driving. Tarantino does that in Pulp Fiction with the Bruce Willis scenes, where you can very clearly tell like they're in a stage with like a fake taxi and just a screen behind them. But I don't know why, for whatever reason, I think that it makes me happy to see. It's just like a little movie thing that I'm just like, oh, I like that. If I was doing movie, I would probably do that rather than go film on the streets. It's just like, just have some kind of like a little bit,
Oh, you don't want to go all French Connection and just guerrilla style that shit?
No. Too many possible car accidents. I've tried filming in a car while driving. It's fucking hard.
I bet. Well, that's like
especially if you're
the
looking
director,
for something good.
I can't remember his name. R.I.P. to the director of French Connection. I watched an interview with him or a Q&A thing, and he said that every car accident that was filmed in French Connection was accidental, completely not planned. So,
I can imagine
that backdrop.
Yeah, if you do that now in America, you might just get arrested.
Yeah,
you got to have permits and shit. Cops show up real fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so DC is on lockdown, and they're driving, and he tells her what to do in case he gets killed or gets hurt, because he has a pretty good idea of what's going to happen to him.
Well, yeah, so that way she can pick up the Necronomicon. No, wait. That's Army of Darkness.
Yes. So the phrase that he gives her has become a cultural thing. It's used in Army of Darkness. It is actually also used in Star Wars. It is the name of 3 of the guys in Jabba's palace.
Oh.
Yeah. 3 of the little dudes that hang out at Jabba's palace are all 3 of the words that he says. And then it also was in the sequel. It's in the remake. Keanu demanded it be in the remake. They didn't want to put it in there, but he demanded that he get to say it. Yeah. He says it twice in the remake. He gets to say it twice.
Oh, there you go. See, I hadn't, because I hadn't watched this movie all in one go before. I didn't know that's where it came from. Whenever I watched Army of Darkness, I was just, so every time
Latin.
I thought, well, or something. I just, so I thought everything was a reference to Army of Darkness, and that's how dumb I am. So
no, that's cool though. I like that. There's like layers and layers and layers. That's the good thing about art is you discover like new things, and you're like, okay, well that's reference, and now you're like, right. So everyone that's referencing this has seen at least this text before.
Well, that's it's like the Wilhelm scream. It's like the all of those things. It's that layer, and you can do that in other parts of the art world. You can see people's influence on like paintings and stuff that.
Fun little fact here about the saying that she has to say. It took her forever to do it properly without laughing. She had such a hard time to do it. The actress actually, she thought going into this that this was going to be a standard kind of stupid B movie of the time. And it was just like, like anything else, just a paycheck, this isn't going to be like a thing that's going to last with me for the rest of my life. Oh no. It became a big thing for forever. And yeah, she had a very hard time saying it without just completely breaking down laughing.
Like the younglings.
So anyway, he gets smoked as he runs from the car when they finally get stopped.
Yeah.
And she goes and tells the robot who has started killing off everybody. And she
Here I
gives
go
him,
killing again.
yeah, here I go killing again. She gave him the magic words, and with the magic words, he goes, and the old bucket of bolts goes
Yep.
and grabs the alien and takes him back to his spaceship, where we get to see the inside of it, which was inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. That's the kind of
Oh,
the visual aesthetic they were going for, which honestly they nailed pretty much.
yeah.
It's very Frank Lloyd Wrighty inside the spaceship,
Mm-hmm.
and Bleep Lorp lays him down there. And this is where we get the resurrection scene that we talked about in the
Yep.
background, where they included the line about Jesus to not make the Christians uncomfortable with a person
Yeah.
being resurrected. So we're told that
But
the resurrection is only temporary, like it's not going to be something that lasts forever.
here's my issue with that, and I've thought about that. The idea of the resurrection being possible to other people shouldn't be an issue. You know?
Talking about that guy named Lazarus?
Talking about Lazarus. I mean, supposedly that's just supposed to be a thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading that whole
I mean,
thing, but whatever.
in the
I just
biblical,
like, my God,
yeah, yeah. Hold on.
of all the things to be sensitive about.
Yeah, right. In the biblical text, resurrection is not limited to just Jesus. Other he gives that to Lazarus. He brings back from the dead.
Yeah.
If we look at the parts of the Bible that were removed, some of the stories there, he does it as well there in some of those tales. So yeah, there's plenty of times where if you actually read the text, it's not like a power reserved for just him.
Exactly, and I feel like that's also. I feel like that's a charge he makes to disciples or apostles. I didn't mean to get into this, but I feel like that was one of the things where he's like, "Yeah, get out there and do this stuff," you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
I mean,
he's better now. He's better. I died, but I got better. So he goes outside, and everyone, all of the people from America, have gathered around the spaceship now and are here to listen to what he has to say. Finally, as he has revealed that he, very much like Christ allegory, he has resurrected from the dead, and now the people are taking him serious. And he tells them the warning, which is basically like, y'all are acting like schmucks and idiots, and if you keep doing it, you're going to all die, and you have no one to blame but yourselves. And, and then the movie ends without a decision being made. Earth just gets to think about it, which is kind of like, I like that he leaves that with, like, the audience. Like, think about this as you leave. Like, you keep doing what you've been doing with this atomic bomb shit, y'all are going to end up all dead.
Yep.
And then, or think about how much beautiful harmony you could have if you decided to work together.
Yeah.
And the movie ends and we go to credits. And that is the entirety of The Day the Earth Stood Still. Like I said, it moves fairly quick.
It does.
It's a very fast movie. Thoughts on the movie?
I really like it. I'm annoyed that, it took me this long to watch it all in one because I missed so much context over the years just seeing parts of it, and never actually just sitting and watching it all the way through. And it's not like it was that long of a movie to do that with. I don't know why I never did it. It's one of those things where it's like, of course I know that movie. But it's just in that like cultural sense of I know that movie. It's like how I know The Odyssey. I've never actually read it, but I'm familiar enough, But I'm sure if I read it, I'd be like, oh, shit, no, I don't know shit. That kind of thing. Yeah. So that's how it felt. So I really like the message. Totally got it. I totally resonate with it. It saddens me that it's still relevant today.
Very relevant.
That was, I was like, ooh, oh, that kind of feeling, like I was up and then I was very down. But I guess if I had to take anything from this movie,
anything kind to apply to our world.
God, I mean, sheesh. The only thing I can think of is like, we're not gonna make it.
We are fucked.
We really are. I mean, because I think now, 2025, he wouldn't even have a chance to, pull out his little global thing that he was his little gift. He wouldn't have even made it that far.
He's got a weapon.
he wouldn't have even gotten that close. He'd have been like,
Yeah, right.
they've been like, he's undocumented or something. I don't know, but he'd have been shot immediately. Like, there would have been no question. Panic would have started immediately. Like, we're dumber now than we've ever been. I mean,
Yeah, I loved the movie. I thought it was great. Like you said, it's still very relevant today with what's going on in our current world. I like the way I liked a lot of things about it. I liked the way it was paced. I liked the performances. I thought everyone in it was really good. The kid was not an annoying child, which is something that we'll see in the remake. So I really liked a lot of it. There was a lot of positive, and I think, like you said, it's got a message that has persisted and has stood up to the test of time, because it's just as relevant today as it was in 1951. As far as like big takeaways for me, I guess, like, besides just realizing how fucked we all are, just like maybe be a little bit more empathetic and just a little nice to everybody, and see what that'll do for you. You'd be surprised, right? Maybe we won't all die that way. It's the worst that happens, right? Anyway,
yeah, right.
a little bit of a downer here, but the movie does kind of leave you thinking about a lot of things, and we are going to leave y'all thinking about next week, because we will be back and we will talk about the remake of this movie from 2008, starring Keanu Reeves and John Hamm and Kyle Chandler. Jennifer Garner, I think, is in it, and Jaden Smith. Several people. We'll be back next week. See you then.
Take it easy.
Hot damn, college boy. Thank you so much for listening. Every single week we come back with a new movie about the end of the world, or a movie about the beginning of the end of the world, or what happens after the end of the world, or maybe one day we just decide to watch Showgirls. Who knows? Right, but every week we are coming back, and thank you so much for stopping in this week and listening to the whole episode and hearing our thoughts on whatever train wreck of a movie I chose to force my friend to watch this week. I'm a good person like that. And thank you for also being a good person. There you go. If you want to be a really, really fucking cool person, which you obviously are, why don't you give us a like, and actually, more importantly, give us a subscribe. I find that to be more important. I don't know if the algorithm says it is. I don't really give a shit. But thank you for your patronage either way, and clicking all the things and doing all the stuff. Bye. Thanks.